reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. I'm Chris, and I'm joined, as always, by the ever-so-affable Mr. at MMO Bill. Hello, Bill.
I'm affable. I just, oh, dang. I don't even know what to say. Hello, Chris. I am fantastic. Good to get back in the old recording saddle.
It most certainly is. We had the unfortunateness that is always PAX, followed by the start of the school year, followed by real life kicking our ass. But we are back. Our ass is very well kicked, but ready to talk MMOs and gaming once again.
Yes, our asses are ready. That's usually where most of our podcasts come from, aren't they?
That's right. I have heard more than once that we're talking out our ass, but I'm okay with that. I think we're all okay with that on this show, aren't we?
Yeah, that was actually going to be our logo until the censors vetoed that. You can imagine how that would look. Hey, if you've got an artistic rendition of the MMO Reporter logo where we talk out of our asses, please send it to us. I would love to see that.
I'm just picturing some Ace Ventura artwork there.
No, that's kinder than what I was imagining. Anyway.
All right. Well, we do have actually a fair chunk because we have been away for a few weeks. Lots of stuff has happened. The world has continued going on as we have been away. So let's get into stuff. First, let's talk about what we have been doing in gaming for the last little while. Bill, what has kept you busy?
Well, and my list belies exactly how busy I've been. It hasn't been gaming that's been keeping me busy. I've been chunking away at World of Warcraft. Got my eye level up to 837 actually, so I'm just about at that mythic level. All through just picking away at world quests, doing champion quests, and doing all the just regular PvE stuff in the world. So it's you can do it. It's not that hard to do if you pick away at it. Anyway, so I'm still liking World of Warcraft. I made a ton of money on that kind of first rush of economy after the expansion launch, just doing materials gathering and everything.
Oh my God, did you ever?
And I actually got my subscription just through buying WoW tokens full up until January of next year. So It's actually, I could see this as being a way to just stay in the game, is by making a gob of money and taking it easy and farting around with whatever you want.
Here's the trick. Now go in and take away all payment settings from your account, and then when you're done with your tokens, when you're not playing enough to make enough money for your tokens, let your subscription lapse.
Yep, because that'll be a sign that I don't want to play anymore.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. But
it's almost like a self-correcting system.
And just to talk about that a little bit more, about the whole economy and WoW and stuff like that and the tokens, it's funny how servers are so different, because I've only gotten 1 month's worth of game time out of this. I'm very close to my second month's, so I would be all the way up to, right now I'm currently up to November, so I would be done up till December. And just talking to you about the price of materials that you're selling stuff for on the auction house, you are a good 2 or 3 times more regularly and often, 4 or 5 times more than what my items will go for on my auction house on my server. And
Well, I think it's equalized quite a bit now. Like we're a lot. Last time we talked, we were a lot closer.
yeah,
But I mean, that's the difference. I'm on a medium to high pop PVE server, and you're on I think a fairly low pop PvP server.
yeah.
So yeah, how's all that PvP going for you?
You know, we don't all make great life choices. And
Oh, and then we talked about the cost. I mean, that's where they get you too. Is the cost of a server transfer is nuts.
yeah, $20. So, and I have to admit now that I'm seriously looking at WoW tokens as my way to pay for WoW. I'm seriously considering that $20 might be worth it, because I will probably make it up in the amount of monthly tokens that I can get.
Yeah, and then when you say it as $20, it doesn't sound like much, but it, for what the action is, it just moving a
Per
character from a server to another, that
Right.
seems just a crazy amount of money
Yeah.
to be dumping into what should be a fairly simple service that other games do happily. Well, maybe not happily, but other games do for free. Guild Wars 2, you can change servers like every week for free if you want,
Yeah.
or every month. I can't remember which it is.
But they also have a completely different way of handling their servers, right? So it's basically a no work for ArenaNet, and it's a little bit of work for Blizzard. It is
I
not
wonder about
$20
that.
worth of work.
I would love to see the procedure that's written when you have to move a character in World of Warcraft compared to moving a character in Guild Wars 2, just for curiosity. So if somebody's got those documents and wants to leak them, hey, if you want to leak them and make sure nobody sees them, have we got a deal for you?
Yeah. So
So
Anyways.
anyway,
yeah. Keep
so
going.
yeah, speaking of making money, I have been going flat ass broke playing Elite Dangerous. I keep dying.
Oh, really?
I thought I was quite clever, and I bought myself kind of a fighter ship. It's a smaller ship. It's a Vulture.
Right,
For
yeah.
you elite people out there, basically a Vulture it's a small, very agile ship with 2 giant guns mounted on it. So that's actually fewer hard points than most ships have, but most ships don't have the large form factor. So you can actually pump out quite a bit of damage. And it's, like I said, you're agile but not fast. So anyway, so I've been bombing around in this ship, and I've just had, it's the weirdest deaths too. Like I'll be in a combat zone, and all of a sudden 4 enemy ships will spawn right on top of me, to the point where I can't even boost out of there. I'm just so instant death there. And then within half an hour of that, I get interdicted and rammed by this gigantic ship that has no business ever being any more agile and faster than me, but all of a sudden just spears me straight through in one shot, blows away all my shields and everything. And just weird stuff, like, because I usually play Elite fairly carefully, but anyway, but the thing is, because I've bought this ship and I've equipped it out quite well, I'm losing almost 1 million credits every time I die. So then I have to play for like 4 or 5 hours doing missions to kind of build my rep up for the missions that have failed, and to get my credits back. And then I break almost even, and then I die in some other absolutely weird way. So it just goes back to the Elite thing. If there's one thing you need to know about Elite Dangerous before you pick it up, always have more credits in the bank than a rebuy, because your ship will blow up every once in a while for just reasons. So
that makes me so sad, Bill. I'm so sorry that you're struggling so much in Elite. Do you want a muffin? You okay?
I would, a muffin, and if you could arrange for a hug to be shipped my way, I could use a hug. So
all right.
Anyway, you know what else I could use is some more time to play Guild Wars 2. I've been so itching to
Oh,
play Guild Wars 2, but I feel like everything I want to do in Guild Wars 2 right now is going to take like a 2 hour block. And the 2 hour blocks that I have to do anything, forget gaming, anything, are just few and far between. So I haven't done all the Guild Wars 2 stuff that I've wanted. I haven't got through my story quest to get into Ember Bay or consume any of that or anything. We're going to talk about that in a bit, so I won't go dive into it too much. But I've actually picked up my Thief again, so I'm kind of alting from my Revenant back to my Thief in Guild Wars 2, and that's been pretty fun. But what it's actually done is kind of awakened me to go deep into my alt list and pull my Engineer out of
oh
nowhere.
wow.
I'm gonna start Heart of Thorns on my. Well, I'm actually torn because I want to start Heart of Thorns on my Engineer because I've been kind of itching to play that character, but I've also got a Sylvari Necromancer, and I'm less interested in playing a Necromancer, but I want to play a Sylvari through the Heart of Thorns story, so I can kind of see what the differences are. So, because I know there's actually even some achievements that you need to be Sylvari to get.
Yeah.
So, like, in order to get all your hero points and everything like that, you have to have a Sylvari character go through these achievements. So the story system is pretty forgiving in that you can jump chapters and that kind of thing, assuming you've completed them before. So that's not so bad. But anyway, so that's been basically my time, like the whole time that I've been away here. That's been about it.
Wow.
No, Overwatch has tailed way off for me. So anyway, that's about it for me. How about you, Chris? What have you been doing?
Well, as we talked about, I've been playing WoW as well, and that's sort of been my main game, and it's been very interesting. Even though I've got a little bit of a list here of what I've been playing, it's been a long time since I've approached a game as one-dimensionally as I do WoW right now. And what I mean by that is I don't have 4 or 5 games as my main game on the go. I have WoW and then a whole bunch of other stuff, which hasn't happened for me in years. Where I may have short little 1 week where I've focused on a game. WoW since the expansion has been my game, and we've played together. I've played with friends, reconnected with some people, really gotten back into that game. I think this expansion is exceptional, as we mentioned when we reviewed it, you and I, a while back when we discussed it. This is an exceptional expansion, both in content, in story, and in implementation. So that. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I think there's a little bit of nostalgia that plays into it as well, of course, because WoW was kind of the game when we were in our prime heyday of loving MMOs and everything like that. So there's that to it as well. But I mean, even all that aside, World of Warcraft is a good game.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's at the top. It's not perfect. There's lots of flaws. There's lots of things that are not exactly right about it, but there is plenty of reasons that it is where it is today, and it was where it was 5 years ago and 10 years ago and so forth. So
all that being aside, all the our thoughts on the game itself, it's really fun for me right now to be focusing on one game so heavily. It's a whole different experience than the usual altaholic across many games that I usually have.
Well, and it's funny because that's, I think, how regular humans usually play MMOs
right, I know,
too. Like,
I know.
Like the MMO reporterness of us has kind of led us to play MMOs in a very, I don't want to say a weird way, but certainly non-standard.
Yeah.
Like, to kind of dip your toes in here or there and try everything to the point where you can actually talk about it.
Or
so,
burst,
yeah, I agree.
like super strongly into one thing.
Yeah, it is nice to be able to kind of pick a platform and a game and pick your goals and go forward. And this is not a permanent thing. This is not going to be MMO WoW reporter going forward, I don't think. But it is fun. It's nice to kind of do that. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And I have played Guild Wars 2 as well, and I have gotten to Ember Bay, although I haven't gotten very far. I was lucky enough, thanks to ArenaNet, they invited me to a demo to preview it before it was released, but unfortunately, about halfway through the demo, there was a family emergency, and I had to leave the computer. I had to ditch in the middle of the demo, so I didn't get to release any content about it or anything, so I'm sorry to everyone who was expecting, as with the last one, a preview of this stuff, but unfortunately life gets in the way, and it's weird that, in the summer, and of course this is before Legion launch, but there was a while there where I played Guild Wars 2 every day after the first chapter of the season 3 Living World story. And I really I want to go back in there, but time is limited, right? So I can say this, that it's nice to have a new zone. I like the new zone. I like the new art design. I can't wait to get through the story because I'm a real fan of this season 3 story. And I think that the intro that I've experienced a few times now, because I got to see it in the demo and again with my live character, has been really, really fun. So, I forgot to mention with WoW too. I did. We had a poll before Legion launched about which character to use my level 100 boost on, and I did use it on the mage as the poll chose. And I'm leveling that up to be my mat. Like I've picked up skinning on the mage, and I've got mining. So I'll gather everything that I can. And I will sell all that to hopefully make money for my WoW tokens. By the way, for those of you that are interested who are WoW players, you can get skinning at least. It took me about 4 hours and just of one evening and then one morning. And I got from nothing in skinning to 700 in skinning, all in that chunk of time. And I just went straight through. I used a guide from somewhere online, and just went through. And skinning is so easy because you just kill. You don't have to go find. You just kill stuff and skin it. It's one of the, rather than like herbalism or mining. It's just so easy to go out and level that one.
Well, and the big thing too is that if you do feel like just being absolutely brain dead, you pick a zone that's got a world quest going where everybody's killing animals, and you just wander around and you skin.
Yeah.
And it's easy, and you're still making decent cash. And
So anyways, sorry, I kind of jumped back. So Guild Wars 2, I jumped in there with the launch of Luke Cage on Netflix, as I always do. As our loyal listeners will see, I always jump back into Marvel Heroes whenever there is a new Marvel product that comes out, and Gazillion was kind enough to supply me with some of their in-game currency, so I am trying out Luke Cage in the game. I'll have a little bit more to say about that next week, but it is a lot of fun to play that game as I watch the show, because I'm playing the character, and I bought the costume. It's the same as the show, so it's cool.
Oh, cool.
But we'll talk about that. And then the last two, Star Wars Battlefront. Of course, that's a regular brain-dead shooter. They had the Death Star DLC that came down, and oh my god, the first time I did a trench run, it just, my kids were watching, and we were all squealing as I did a trench run. Completely ignored the battle that was happening around me just so I could do a trench run, but it was fun nonetheless. And last but not least, Star Trek Online launched on PS4. I think I'll probably be able to have my final thoughts on that next week. But it is free to play, so if you want to try it, you can go check it out on PS4 and Xbox One. But I'll have some thoughts on that next week. For now, I've just been goofing around. I love the space combat in that game. I really, every time it comes up, I say it. I love it. It's really fun. It's fun on controller too. But I love the space combat. But anyways, that is what we have been doing in game. We want to thank our patrons at patreon.com/MMO Reporter for helping to keep the lights on at the network, pay for our hosting, and pay for all the things that keep the network going. We sure appreciate it. If you want to join, check out the rewards and our goals. You can go to patreon.com/MMO Reporter.
Then you couldn't stop the wipe just by saying, oh, pew, pew. La-di-da, la-di-da, di-da, da-da, more than these.
All right. We've got some news coming out of Amazon. that's probably the biggest surprise for me out of the last little while. Amazon Game Studios has announced the games that they are working on. There are a few that are there. There's one called Breakaway, which will be kind of like a MOBA, MMO-ish thing. It's a brawler. It's got
Yeah,
MOBA.
it's only 4 players at a time. It's got
Yeah.
the fixed maps and everything. It's yeah.
And Crucible, which is a more of a survival game, as a few little bit of multiplayer. But I think the big story is New World, which will be an MMO, very sandbox one that's set in the 17th century, where in this world the horror, the supernatural, is real, and so they're bringing the game around that. It is very sandbox. It has some building elements to it. They talk about players building their settlements and stuff like that. And we know next to nothing about it, but as we do here on the MMO Reporter Network, it is time for wild, baseless speculation. My biggest thing when I watch this and I listen to them talk about it, cool that there's another non-mainstream genre game coming out. I think the last one that we saw that was as far as thematic style goes was more outside the norm, was probably Secret World. And as far as tone goes, it seems like this is probably close to that as far as the tone, but it seems very different as far as gameplay.
Yeah, well, even the tone, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it is wild, baseless speculation. We don't know anything about this. I kind of got the impression that it's going to be more. It's not going to be as supernatural as Secret World is. Secret World is, of course, demons, monsters, and everything everywhere, squeezed into kind of a modern scenario. This is a almost modern scenario, and yeah. And anyway, it's an interesting idea. So far there's nothing in the description of the game for me that makes it brilliant. Like, there's nothing that gets me excited. This is the only thing that's really getting me excited here, is that we have a like Amazon has basically paid or colored themselves as a AAA developer overnight, just by virtue of being Amazon and having clout and money and everything like that. And they're making an MMO. And to me, that speaks that's weird, because nobody wants to play in the MMO market these days. All the new MMOs have either come from Asia, or they've been indie crowdfunded kind of beasts that usually are kind of niche styles. So to have a AAA anyone kind of get back into that space is exciting, but it's also a little terrifying, because if they screw it up, that's like a huge giant nail in the coffin for the MMORPG style of games. So I have all kinds of hopes and well wishes and everything on Amazon to do well with this.
My biggest concern is that they mentioned the players building stuff. I sort of said a little bit in a second ago. And if there's an in-game like building economy and component, like say Ark or games like that, where you build your shelter and settlements and stuff like that, I have to work really, really hard to get past that, because I hate that shit. Like, I really don't enjoy that in my MMO. No, thank you. But
it was perfect. Your mic cut out at exactly the right second there. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't. What do you? Is that something that is? It's not a deal breaker for me, but it is a. Oh.
I don't mind it, because it's all about the system and all about whether it's worthwhile and fun. Because I mean, a crafting system by itself is not fun. Like, sitting there clicking and watching the bar go by and everything like that is not fun. If it's fun to get your materials and to kind of plan your crafting and to have some kind of to have gameplay built into a crafting system and in an economy builder and everything like that, and it's a kind of a welcoming economy, like it's a way that you can actually get in and participate at any level, like where
Right.
not any level as in like a level 1 newbie can participate at the same level as a max level expert or anything like that, but to have a casual be able to participate at a casual level and an expert participate at a expert level and have it feel rewarding in both cases. I mean, we're getting into unicorn territory here, but if somebody can pull that off, I'm happy to play in a space like that. It's all about the fun. If you can put the fun into it, then I don't care whether it's player-driven crafting system, whether there's zero crafting or anything in between. If it's fun, then great.
It's not necessarily just about the crafting, it's about the building buildings, right?
Yeah,
Or structure.
well, and that's what we've got here because it's they used the dirty word sandbox, which is
Oh, what a
which
dirty word. That's horrible.
it is.
Horrible word.
Well, and it's so funny because several years ago when we were talking about MMOs, everybody was clamoring for sandboxes. Everybody wanted a sandbox. Like everybody was so sick of theme parks. Everybody was sick of storytelling MMOs and that kind of thing. They just wanted to be able to go in and do whatever they want. Well, we've been completely flooded by these indie sandbox games to the point where you can't turn around without walking into two of them. So and you know what? That's fine.
I hate sand. It gets everywhere.
It's great that there's a whole bunch of agility in the indie development community that's able to answer, hey, I'm sick of not having a sandbox. Somebody make me a sandbox, and then have 50 somebodies make you a sandbox.
Right.
There's a certain value in that, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting that's the wording that they decided to use to describe this MMO again. And this could be sandbox meaning anything. I mean, when all you know about a game is a paragraph of text and a small video, yeah, sandbox could mean anything. Now, I think the interesting thing, though, the one that really kind of caught my attention and could be either a real boost or a real it just could go either way, is the deep Twitch integration that they're putting into New World as well as the other games that they announced. And of course, Amazon is the parent company for Twitch now.
Yeah.
So they're obviously, it almost feels like they're taking a little bit of a Netflix approach here, where they're like, okay, it was fine when other people were making our content for us and putting it on our platform. Now we're going to make our own content and put it on our own platform.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very, and the changes to Twitch Prime going with Amazon Prime. I don't know if you heard about that, but sort of having some bonuses tied into Twitch with Amazon Prime and Twitch Prime and that sort of stuff. So it's very, very interesting the approach that they're taking right now in the integration with Twitch and Amazon. I know they own them.
Well, and that's the thing, and I'm kind of wondering how deep Twitch integration works with an MMO. Like, what MMO do you play that is just magical on Twitch? Like, it's kind of fun. I enjoy going in and watching a little bit of Guild Wars 2 for a while on Twitch. I know when World of Warcraft launched, I liked having a bit of World of Warcraft stream open there, but MMOs in general tend to they don't necessarily make the best theater.
You know what? But you can. It just depends on how you want to create the content. You can have, okay, so let's say we're doing world quests. All right. So you can form a party within your Twitch chat, and you can integrate it with that. Now, okay, let's go do some world quests now, everybody. Oh, I'm going to do a dungeon with listeners now. Who wants to go? And then you integrate with that. All right, we're going to have a scavenger hunt in Goldshire right now. Somebody bring me the first leg of a dead chicken. And people, you can do all that sort of stuff with integration.
There's some creativity there, but it's also still an MMO. You're watching the risk is that you're watching a kill 10 rats kind of thing, where you can put whatever side games in it you want, whatever kind of activity you want. You're still watching people swing, do a 1, 2, 3, 4 rotation on on their game. Like, this is the risk. I'm talking from kind of a worst case scenario.
No, and
here.
I understand
so
that.
my concern going to try to shoehorn an MMO, which is not necessarily an excellent Twitch experience, and trying to use it as the vehicle to sell Twitch, instead of having Twitch be this thing that's just bolted onto what's already a compelling game. Because that's what we need, is a compelling game first, and then Twitch integration would be a nice bonus on top of that.
Yeah, and I bet you that is how they're going to approach it. But
I hope. I question whether that's actually the case.
Well, but the thing is, I don't think this is about. I think this is more or less about having. I forget exactly what I was going to say, but. This is about getting streamers to use Twitch over Hitbox, over YouTube, and those streaming services by having this integration that will not be there with the other platforms. And so, I think with MMOs, you're not watching for the gameplay is part of it, but you're also watching for the personalities. With so many games, that you watch on Twitch are like watching extreme sports, right? When you're watching that, you're watching to see people who are incredibly talented at their particular game, and they do things better than mere mortals do. And that's why, high-end streamers are like that with the shooters and stuff like that, and with StarCraft. But with MMOs, it's about the community that you're creating, and the content is a part of that, but it's about what you do with that content necessarily, rather than just the content itself.
And there's the risk. Can you get 5 years of rich community engagement broadcasted neatly on Twitch with an MMO, compared to, say, a shooter or a MOBA or something like that? Because that's the thing. I mean, a shooter and a MOBA are always going to be, even a bad shooter is still at least action all the way. Unless it's so bad that everyone's just AFK in the spawn room, right? There's at least stuff going on. So anyway, it'll be interesting. I'm glad to be following this here. It kind of interesting too. This really answers the question that we've been asking now for a couple of years about why Amazon is not poaching, but really grabbing MMO talent from a lot of different sources. ArenaNet alone, they grabbed Eric Flanham, they grabbed Jeff Grubb, John Peters, and Colin Johansson just this year. That's a lot of talent. Granted, Amazon is based out of Washington State, and so is ArenaNet. So they were kind of shopping in their own backyard there a little bit. That's fine. But there's been lots of other MMO vets that have been pulled into Amazon to help work on their big secrets, and now we know what they were brought for. Hopefully we'll hear more soon. So it's kind of exciting to see another big player in the MMO space, and I really, really hope it works.
And and the story for these games is going to be strong. Of course, Jeff Grubb being there as well. So
lots of Kinder.
So you've got a little bit about the clicking on the Stay Updated link. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, just from the page. So I decided that I wanted to stay updated on New World, and it actually shoots you over to the pre-order page for New World, where to sign up for more information and updates and that kind of thing, you actually have to pre-order the game for $0. So you need an Amazon account for it and everything like that. But it kind of makes me wonder, is this going to be a free-to-play game? Is that why they can throw the $0 tag on this? Is there going to be another SKU that comes along later that is going to have a price tacked onto it? I don't know. Anyway, it's curious. It was a very Amazon way of getting you to sign up for a newsletter, I guess.
Right, but the thing is, they're saying you pre-order the game for $0, and if I did end up clicking on the little price guarantee thing that they've got there, and what it said, pre-order price guarantee, and when I read here, the top, you can see it says pre-order price guarantee. Order now, and if Amazon.com price decreases between your... it doesn't talk about increasing the price, though.
Yeah.
So they could increase the price. I misread that. That was my mistake.
We'll see. It could be...
but they couldn't. You couldn't pre-order and then they increase the price, right?
They absolutely could.
Hold on. I shouldn't have said you can't.
Yeah,
They
because
shouldn't.
I could just hear the guys at Amazon saying challenge accepted.
Yeah.
So
All right. So
anyway,
that's the big
speaking
news I think of the week.
yeah, but speaking of all those ArenaNet people that left over to go to Amazon, there's a whole bunch of people that stayed behind to work on Guild Wars 2 and put together the next episode in the season 3 story. So the new shiny in Guild Wars 2 is a new zone called Ember Bay, and it is in a region that's actually kind of imported back again from Guild Wars 1 called the Circle of Fire island chain, and it's in the south part of the map and everything. So if you're a Guild Wars 2 person, you know where it is. You've seen it in the map since the game released. But yeah, so this is a big thing. We've got a new zone, the continuation of the story quest, moving the Mersat storyline along. There's some hints about Primordus, the dragon, possibly being the behind everything here, and of course, the Primordus is the fire dragon. So if you're in a fire zone, that kind of belies what is going to be happening there. This is actually the first zone that they've added to that reintroduces hearts and heart quests, but which is kind of interesting. But they've done it in a really neat way too, where the hearts are actually dailies. So they've basically taken two systems that have been kind of stagnated in Guild Wars 2 and completely abandoned in Heart of Thorns and reintroduced them together. So
Yeah.
kind of a neat idea. So there's a new epic jumping puzzle. Apparently, I haven't been to the zone yet, so I haven't tried the jumping puzzle yet. But I watched a video for it, and I got angry just watching the video.
I hate jumping puzzles. I'm sorry.
I love finishing jumping puzzles. I can just feel the tightness in my chest letting go by completing the puzzle, and I look forward to finishing it. But actually doing it, I have nightmares about that one in Gendarn Fields, like the little hidden one. You know which one I'm talking about? That's right near where the entrance to Lion's Arch is.
Yeah. And I like doing jumping puzzles with mesmers.
Well, yeah, that's the way of doing it. Now, I almost don't even want to mention it out loud, but the real easy way, like if you really don't like jumping puzzles and you don't like doing those complicated jumps and that, you want to have a thief, and you want to have a staff, and you want to use staff 5 to move yourself around.
Okay, understood.
Staff 5 is it's a ground target jump attack. And you can actually use that to kind of do, like, you can't do jumps that you wouldn't normally be able to do. It won't take you anywhere out of your range, but it allows you to kind of calmly just jump to a place instead of having to like turn in midair and do something complicated. Anyway, I found it way easier to do on my thief than on any other class.
Cool.
So
nice. And it does, like we talked about earlier, it does, I think we're both excited about it. I think we're both looking forward to getting in there. And it does look like a very interesting...
I'm hoping this is the weekend that I'm going to blast through a bunch of the story quests to kind of unlock that zone, because I've been plodding too much in Guild Wars 2 and just trying to absorb everything as I go through in the first shot, instead of kind of finishing X and then moving on to something else and doubling back, which is actually the way I prefer to play Guild Wars 2. But I've gotten away from that. So
you need to follow Shia LaBeouf's suggestion and just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Follow
should
your
I
dreams.
watch all?
Just
should I do it while watching all of my old podcasts and eating popcorn?
Maybe cry a little at some points and laugh.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure I would cry. Yeah.
Well, if you heard the first podcast that we ever did together again, I cry every time I hear it.
Oh,
and not
I'll
in a good
cry
way.
when I hear this podcast. So
there is a Wooden Potatoes tour as well. I always like Wooden Potatoes stuff.
I love Wooden Potatoes. He's good.
Yeah, and if you don't remember his start, he started out, he did the lore videos before Guild Wars 2, and those were the best videos I think I've ever seen on YouTube ever that don't involve cats. And so he started out and did these amazing lore videos, but he's got a tour of Ember Bay here, and gives us a little bit of a show around the area. If you like that sort of thing, which I do.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, good video. And then just a little bolt on too. There was actually a patch 2 days ago for Guild Wars 2 that's adding new events tied in
Oh,
with
fun.
the current season 3 episode 2 story.
Mm-hmm.
I won't spoil anything. It's actually taking you back through the old world. The old world, as us Heart of Thorns people like to call it. New achievements, everything. It's still just a patch. This isn't a major release or anything like that, but it is a nice kind of mid-cycle add-on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
check that. We'll have a link to the Delphi page, kind of talking about the achievements and that you can do there. So check that out.
So lots of stuff to check out if you're interested in Guild Wars 2. We're going to talk about our sponsors real quick. First of all, we have got Audible. Go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter if you are interested in audiobooks. They are the net's best provider of audiobooks for all your audiobook needs. Just go to audiblepodcast.com/MMO Reporter. And we've got our friends over at Doghouse Systems. Go to doghousesystem.com. Use coupon code MMO Reporter, and they're going to add a 120 gig SSD to your purchase. So go and check them out. So many dumb ways to die. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Mistake a troll for a wagon in skirmish run.
So speaking of cool videos that we find on the internet, because let's break it down. That's exactly what we do here, is just watch YouTube until something
too much time
wakes
on
us
YouTube.
back up again. Yeah. Anyway, cool little comparison video between Camelot Unchained and Crowfall. Now, as you know, we've talked about both of these things. I have a long-standing love for Dark Age Camelot, so I'm really intrigued with Camelot Unchained. Chris and I are both already pre-purchased for Crowfall. We broke our rule for that one because that was very a really intriguing Kickstarter and everything. So these are both games that are near and dear to our heart. So It's Ziz is the author of the video, does a really neat breakdown talking about clearly the similarities of both of these games, and then really breaking down a lot of the differences. I mean, it's a short video. It's only about 10 minutes long, but it's thorough, and it gives it, I think, a pretty good representation of where we are with both Camelot Unchained and Crowfall. So I really recommend checking this out if you're at least even a little bit interested in either of those games, or even just PvP games in general. It's worth a watch.
And you did we're not going to go through the whole thing here that we went to broke down in the show notes, but you went through, and if anybody wants to check it out, just go to the show notes on the website MMOreporter.com, and you can see Bill's breakdown here of all the different talking points. You can follow along to the video. I think for me, the biggest comparison is Camelot Unchained's incredible, what is it, 32 classes? I don't know, 30 classes. I think it's 21 races and 30 classes. That's what it is. We're looking at it right now. 21 freaking classes.
Well, and when you get into the potential combinations and everything like that, you're getting into a huge. You're gonna. I don't think you're ever gonna run out of classes to try and everything. Although that you have to keep in mind that the way Camelot Unchained is going to work is that once you've got your server picked and everything like that, you're committed. You have to commit to a realm. You can't kind of bounce between realms, figure out which one you like and everything like that, because they're really trying to build a sense of community with your realm, where it's us against them kind of mentality on your server. And that's something that they did actually quite well in Dark Age of Camelot. And I think they're really trying to replicate that here. Kind of the point that I really liked here, and that I've been following closely for both of these games, is more the combat stuff. Like Camelot Unchained's component combat is really intriguing. If we haven't talked about that with you very much, basically, whether it's a melee character, whether it's a mage or anything like that, every attack is going to be made up of kind of component bits. So the example they like to throw out a lot is if you are a magic user, you know the component for fire and you know the component for ball attack. Well, you combine these two components through shortcuts on your keyboard and that kind of thing, and you've got a fireball. But maybe if you don't want a fireball, maybe you want a fire stream, you just use that fire component again with another subcomponent. And the way it interacts in the world, where you can try to counter a fireball with maybe an ice wall, the end effect of that is going to be a big steam wall that could be an area of effect damage or overheat or something like that. Like there's just it's a really ambitious sounding combat system, and I'm really curious to see how they come off with that.
Yeah.
Now that said, Crowfall is very similar too, because it's got an intriguing system too, in that its combat is all action. There's no tab targeting you or anything like that. You aim your ability and you try to hit, and if you don't hit, then, or if your aim is bad, you just don't hit. That's combat in Crowfall.
Yeah,
which could lend to some really interesting battles, I think.
Well, and it also, unfortunately, I found out with testing, especially when I'm playing on the East server, being based on the West Coast of North America, I get a lot of lag. And I know if I'm getting a really, really bad lag, then I need to not play a targeting class. I will play a class where I am not focusing, like the ranger. I can't play the ranger if I've got lag. So that is going to cause some issues with players if they're being affected by lag. When you're tab targeting, that gives you a little bit more flexibility with your network code, I guess.
To be fair, network and lag and that kind of thing, both of these games are still very early. Like right now they've got estimates of 2017 to 2018 releases, and I think that probably belies how far along they actually are. I would bank money on these both being closer to 2018 than 2017.
Although
releases,
and I don't know I don't think it was mentioned on the video, because it was probably worked on before this announcement was made, but they're going to go with a little bit of a staggered release with Crowfall, which is they're going to sort of release a game that is feature complete as far as the self-contained what they're going to do, and then they'll add to that and make it better as they go, and taking very much like an Elite Dangerous approach to the game. Whereas I think, if I remember correctly, Camelot Unchained is going for a more traditional launch of, once they do launch, it's going to be more of a, okay, here's the game, and they're going to update like regular MMO. So
yeah, and so which is kind of interesting, and I you can get a little bit. I could see how that would be a bit of a scary prospect, especially for the Crowfall part of it, side of it, but I'm trying to liken that a lot more to maybe how Elite Dangerous released. Elite put together the space flight and just the barest bones of stuff to do in space, and that's what they released with. And then their next season, they added, they fleshed out politics, they fleshed out missions, and then they added the ability to land on planets and really enrich missions. Like they basically layered on quite well. And I think they're almost, I mean, Elite's got its flaws. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to call it perfect, but I think they've done really well with that kind of layered release approach, where every release is adding something really significant to the game and answering a really a big need for what was there previously, but they're still only releasing the stuff that's actually done, and there's always a good core piece. Like you can see what they really focused on with every release of the game, and it's good. So if Crowfall can follow that same model where they get something that's really important to the game and make sure the fun is there, then layers on top of that, I think they'll do well.
Yeah, so there's lots more to this video. Go check out our show notes, and you can find more. Is there anything else that you really wanted to make sure that we mentioned and discussed? Or
no, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. The video really does a good job of it, but let us know what you guys think. I mean, clearly Camelot Unchained and Crowfall have a lot of parallels. I'm curious to see what some of the people out there are thinking, like if there's one that's really clearly separated itself from the other, or if it's still just too close to call, or if especially if either of you have played in any of the alphas or betas for each and you're allowed to talk. I think they're both open development. I don't think there's any secrets in the betas for either of them.
Not that I know of.
So anyway, I'd like to hear what other people think about it.
Let's move things along. 2 quick mentions for this week. Our first quick mention is from the team over at Gazillion talking about Marvel Heroes and the update that is coming soon. And I have to admit, I read through this, and I'm a casual. I'm an infrequent Marvel Heroes player, and I got kind of confused. I read through this, and I was watching a video while I read through it, and I was confused, so I stopped the video, and then I read through it again, and I had to reread through some parts again, and I don't know if it's just because I'm tired, but I didn't quite get what they're doing here. I know that they're simplifying the way in which you level your character. Instead of getting hero points, you're going to be unlocking talents, and then you're going to use those talents to unlock specific powers within those builds. That's the basics of it, isn't it? Is that what you read with it?
Sort of, yeah. The talents are going to be, yeah. I mean, like the talent system really looked like basically the World of Warcraft talent system. Like you've got 3 different ways that you can go, and then you follow a super simplified tree through each of those kind of options. Yeah. So I mean, obviously that's a very familiar system for everyone else, but it almost too familiar. Yeah. The traits stuff, I didn't really, it took me a couple reads to even wrap my mind a little bit around it. And now that it's been in the show notes for a while, I don't think I'm completely got it again still. So anyway, I'm going to follow this because it does sound like it's actually a really significant overhaul, and Marvel Heroes has always been, I mean, that's actually been a common way that they develop, is they try to basically they're really trying to reinvent themselves frequently. So they've gone through kind of significant changes in the past, and they want to try to keep the game fresh and moving in that, because at its core it's basically Diablo with superheroes. Yeah. So it's important that they actually keep their systems fresh. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, and part of it as well is that instead of having to spend points into the power to get it to its full maximum efficiency at full powers, all of the components of a fully fleshed out power that you've spent all the points in will now be in it when you unlock the skill, and they'll just scale as you go through. One of the things before with the system that was there before with the talent trees and the hero points was that you had to respec your points to put everything into this new power that you wanted to try, but you didn't really get a full idea of what it was like until you put all those points, because it would change as you put more points into it. So that's that. Now powers are just going to scale. They'll have all the different components of it, all the changes to it, and then they're doing that. The real thing that I'm still confused about, I get traits. It's the talents part of it. So we'll follow up, and we'll try and get a little bit more information and maybe rattle our brains a little bit to figure this out. Last quick mention that we're going to mention this week is quite surprising, actually. Kind of came out of nowhere, but longtime Blizzard employee Chris Medson is retiring. He has been with Blizzard for over 20 years. He was he was key in the development of Warcraft 3, Diablo, Overwatch, WoW script writing. He was one of the voice actors. He's Thrall, by the way. And he's retiring at the age of 42.
That's it's going to take a magical couple years for me to be able to do that, but yeah, good for him. I mean, he's got it is out of the blue. Now, to be fair, this is a bit of old news, so sorry for everyone who thought that, hey, didn't I hear about this like a month ago? But yeah, anyway, it's too bad, because Chris Medson was one of the real neat personalities in, not even just at Blizzard, but really in gaming in general. Like he's got a really interesting perspective. I think he's come up with some really neat story stuff in all of his Blizzard history and that kind of thing. And I think he's going to be a very valuable asset for Amazon.
Yeah. That's the retirement. You think he's going to go to Yeah. Anyway, it took me a second. I'm listening. I'm like being polite and yep. Wait, hold on. What did you say?
Wait. What did you just say? No, I just wild Yeah, I'm just being a little bit silly. I doubt he'd be going to Amazon, but I mean, that does seem to be their MO, is to be plucking people from other games. And you know what? If Chris Metzen attached on to what Amazon was working on, I'd suddenly be a lot more interested in whatever the story or lore is of New World.
Yeah. All right. So that is our news for this week. Bill, what are you planning to play next week?
Well, like I said before, I'm going to really try to chew through some Guild Wars 2 story, get out to Ember Bay, and really start to kind of experience that. I have money that I got to make back in Elite. It's not even that I want to play Elite. I like Elite and I enjoy it and everything, but I have to get my money back. I feel like I was robbed and I need it back. So Elite's on my list. World of Warcraft, I'm going to keep trucking along. I've actually been itching to play Civ 5. I've been thinking about the Civ 6 launch coming on October 21st a lot, and I almost feel like I need to warm up a little bit through just a match or two of Civ 5.
Yeah.
So that's my plans. How about yourself? You got a long weekend coming up, so maybe you even get a little bit of extra time in this weekend.
You know what? I'm gonna keep it simple. It's gonna be WoW, Lotro, and Star Trek Online. I'm humming and hawing about moving a couple characters over to your server and making that my main, but that's $40 down the drain. But I probably will end up doing that. And then
I will welcome you with open arms.
I'm sure you will. And then Lotro as well, and then Star Trek Online. I want to really dig into it more and get some final thoughts in before I give my recommendation next week on the show about whether or not people should check it out on the console. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If people want to let us know what they'll be doing, Bill, how can they contact us?
There are a few different ways that they can do that. They can visit our website at mmoreporter.com. They can send us an email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can visit us on Facebook, facebook.com/MMOreporter. You can tweet at either Chris or I, either at MMO_reporter or at MMOBill, or even at Harry Hall. If you wanted to try to track down Harry Hall, you're very welcome to do so. You can give us a call at 616-666-6778. You can visit us over on YouTube, youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network. You can visit us on Patreon, patreon.com/MMO Reporter. If you'd like to help us keep the lights on and keep moving here, we would love your support over on Patreon. Or if Patreon is not really your style, head over to MMOreporter.com/support, and we have some more one-off ways that you can help us out.
We sure do. Hey, Bill, thanks for recording this week. As always, it has been an absolute pleasure.
It was fantastic. And like I said, looking forward to having you on my server. Just don't steal my mine nodes.
I will steal all the mine nodes. All the mine nodes. Hey, thanks for listening or watching, everybody. We really appreciate you coming and checking out the show. We hope that you come back for next week's show, however you may consume it. But of course, most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.